Tonight is Scott S.
Scott, alcoholic. Great to be here, and it's great to be sober. My sobriety birthday is April 18th, 2012, and I have a home group. It says 52 from the Big Blue. You'll find me there on a Tuesday night. It's in Rancho Palos Verdes. It's really an honor to be here. First and foremost, I want to thank God, without whom I wouldn't be here tonight. And then I also want to thank Tom, my good friend, for asking me to come out and be his warm-up guy. Somebody's got to be the steak, and somebody is going to be the parsley, so it's all good. Anyhow, and I also want to thank all of you for making this meeting possible and for the warm welcome, and you guys are great. Thank you so much. And so I was kind of calculating how many years, how long my drinking career was, and it was 27 years. So I'm going to try to condense all that into 10 minutes, which is kind of hard. So I can start at the beginning. Some of you might remember. I'd be old enough to remember this. Bartles and James wine coolers. Yeah. Those are my first drink. And I went to a party, and I drank too many, threw up in the bushes, and I just said, "Wow, I can't wait to do this again." And I should have known. I should have been an omen. And I had consequences pretty quickly from drinking. I kind of started late, and so I got into college after that, and things got out of control really quick. I had some aspirations about and plans that I had. I was a ball player, and I actually made the team as a walk-on player, and it was like a fulfillment of a great dream, which was gone within a semester. I was already on academic probation. I found that I couldn't make it to class. I couldn't get through the dorm and through the student union without, stopping in at a party. Or, there was a guy, one of my teammates, who ran the campus pub, and he would I was 17 at the time, and he would just invite us in, and, they had beer on tap and everything, and pool tables and everything you would want, and I would just get stuck in there, and I never made it to class. Long story short, I got booted within about a year, and things just started getting worse from there. I really lived a life like that party life, where you'd go out, 5-7 days a week, I'll always do a different bar, and I didn't have like really bad consequences, on the normal stuff, fights and things of that, but I didn't have like problems with the law or anything, and that went on, and for a while until my girlfriend at the time got pregnant. And I got freaked out, and that was a big change, and I wanted to do the right thing. I've always wanted to do the right thing, in my life, and I was going to, marry her, and which I did, and I cut out the extra party favors that I was doing, all that, and I got married, and I, decided I was going to live a straight life. I got back into school. I got through school, and I got a job, and but it wasn't long until that drinking just snuck back in, and it slowly started to take over my life. I would overshoot the mark. There was some bad behavior that caused a lot of problems, and plus all the pressure of being a young parent. We had another child soon after, and then the third after that. And life. I have 4 kids now, so I gotta tell you. But life started to be out of control, and I started to become miserable. And because of my bad behavior, I realized that when I'd go out publicly drinking, bad things would happen. So I stayed at home, and I started being isolated. I started being lonely, and some of the consequences went away, and I was under this delusion that I could keep up this lifestyle, and I actually thought I was a pretty good guy, actually. I thought I was a catch. My wife should appreciate me a little more, But I remember one night my brother-in-law invited us to go celebrate his birthday at some Brazilian place in Culver City. And I thought, and for a minute, it's a bad idea. But then I thought, okay, well, I'll go, and I'll be like I'll just have a couple and be the designated driver. And you can imagine how it turned out. It was just pitchers of beer. It wasn't a big deal. And before you knew it, everybody was completely hammered. I didn't really realize it. I felt fine, but my brother-in-law was completely out of control. So we grabbed him, put him in our car, forced him into our car because he was fighting with his wife. And I'm driving down the 405 freeway, and he's trying to open the door on the freeway, and I'm getting pissed off. And I said, if you try that one more time, I'm going to pull over and kick your ass. Excuse my language. And he did it again. And I did pull over, and I pulled him out of the car and started wailing on him. And then I kind of came to, and what am I doing, And I just panicked, and I left him there in the median, and I drove it to a gas station. Car comes up behind me, and, lights on, and it just, I wound up getting out of that one. They took me back down to where my brother-in-law, and he was so belligerent that they believed my story, I guess. And my wife talked to the other officer, and they took me back, and they said, just get a cab. Oh, I'm already running out of time. Wow, there's just so much to say, But anyway, after that was just a real blow to my, to my ego, and I realized I was out of control, and things went down from there. I tried going to church. I tried reading all the self-help books. I took it really serious, and I was really, once again, I was really saying that I was going to change my lifestyle and be that person that I always wanted to be, and I just couldn't live up to it. And I think that disparity between, ultimately the outsides and the insides. I'm going to church on Sundays, but I'm having to wake up and drink before I go to church. There's bad behavior going on, and it eventually wore on me to the point that it just got so bad, And at the end, my son, me thinking I'm a good dad, he was living in a group home because things got so bad at home. I was under investigation at work because I was, as my sponsor would say, you're a thief. I was stealing, I was a thief. And also, and then to kind of top it off, at the end, I had this, I got audited by the IRS for 3 years. And so, long story short, I decided that I would go and represent myself, down in Long Beach. They have an IRS office. And so I drive there, and I get there a couple hours early to prepare and go over my notes. And then some thought came over my head that, I'll get a case of beer for after, because I know I'm going to need it. And then that led to, maybe I'll have a couple to take the edge off, right? Which led to probably drinking about 12 before I walked in there, at least. I don't remember, to be honest. And I was just staggering and probably smelled like booze, and it just didn't go over well, and I wound up owing a bunch of money. And I think that was the last straw. I was going around the PV Peninsula looking for places to jump, basically. That's where I wound up at the end, I just felt like the world would be better off without me, and maybe my family could cash in on some insurance money, and that's where alcohol took me. And I was just very fortunate to make it in. Somebody I talked to here went to the same men's stag that I did when I got sober up there in PV. There you go. Yes, Don, right? Yeah. And I was so blessed to be there. I didn't believe AA would work for me, but I met people in that room who I perceived were like me and that were like happy, joyous, and free, and I kept coming back. And I've been sober since that day. Was lucky to go through the steps with a sponsor. I had a spiritual experience on step 2 because I had a problem with God from my religious experience. And I realized that, God can be found deep down within us, and we just have to search diligently and sweep away prejudice, and that's why he may be found. So I went from being hopeless to hopeful at that moment, that if I went through the rest of those spiritual exercises that I could find some serenity, and it turned out that I did. And I know I'm running short on time, but my career, my early years in AA, the stuff started to get better. My marriage got better, my job, I didn't get fired from my job. I was able to continue with that. I paid back the money that I owed. I did all the things that we do, and life got better. And then I started taking my foot off the gas a little bit, and it's not really like perceptible. It's like a balloon that has like a small hole that just releases the air slowly, and you start thinking that I'm doing something, and then God's not doing it, And I got sick, and during COVID, my sponsor at the time, he went out, he had like a suicide attempt. I mean, it was really brutal, and I wound up in a really, really bad spot. And I was very, very fortunate that the gentleman who's my sponsor now reached out to me, and I made that decision at that moment, and after some discernment, that I was going all in on this thing. And it's like you have to. There's no middle of the road solution. It's true, And because I've experienced it both ways, and I have a great life today. I sponsor men. I work the steps. I had a new experience with them, and I just have such a full life. I have a daughter. adult daughter that's in the program, and we have a beautiful relationship. I have a great relationship with my son that was living in the group home. What can I say? Tom and I went for sushi before we got here. I mean, what a blessing! What a blessing! Just to be here and being in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'll wrap up there, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce our speaker for this evening, Tom N. He's going to share his experience, strength, and hope with us. Please join me in welcoming Tom.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure, an honor, pleasure to be invited to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous and to speak at a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. First of all, I want to welcome our newcomers. Who is it? Jose, right? And what was the other guy? Was it Julie? Welcome if you're here. And happy birthday to the birthday people. Let's give them a big hand. All right. Let's give Scott a big hand for speaking, our 10-minute speaker. All right. Yeah. And let's give all of you a big hand for being here, because we're not a glum lot, are we? No way, man. It's Saturday night. We're going to have some fun tonight. This is not a boring meeting. We don't live boring because we're sober. Damn it. People are like, oh, I'm sober. My life's over. Oh, my God. What am I going to do? How about grow up? Something I didn't know how to do. Well, my name is Tom. I'm an alcoholic. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I love it when I say alcoholic, Tom Alcoholic, because we go around the room, we announce our name, and we say alcoholic. That is my last name. That's the unity in our 12 tradition. It's about being unified, because I need all of you to battle King Alcohol. Thank you for being here, okay? I do have a sobriety date. It's December 23rd. No, I couldn't make it to New Year, 2010. Never again after 2010, one day at a time. All right, yeah. I have a home group in Las Vegas. It's called Connect the Dots. We have 4 meetings a week. Monday nights are a big speaker meeting. If you're ever out there, please get my number. We have a Tuesday night book study, a Friday night step study, and a Sunday meeting. My whole life today is all about Alcoholics Anonymous. It's about giving back to Alcoholics Anonymous for what it's done for me. I'm originally from New Jersey, if you couldn't tell. Forget about it, okay? And I grew up there. When I was conceived, I would always hear Frank Sinatra on the radio. I did it my way, and I loved my way, doing things my way, Went right with my soul. And I grew up in this thing where it's like children shouldn't be seen and not heard. If you want something done, you got to do it yourself. Religion's for weak people. All this stuff, that was imprinted on me at a young age. And so when I grew up in New Jersey, I always felt as a kid like I was in a hurry but nowhere to go. You know that feeling? Like, I don't know what to do. I didn't feel like I quite fit in because I was a little bit big. They called me husky. Remember Sears had husky pants? So I was husky, and I was like, okay, I was kind of a bigger kid. And when I was, I remember I got my horoscope when I was young, a little kid, and I'm born on the cusp. And this one year, I was born August 23rd, and so what happened is I picked it out, and it said, man, I'm a lion, I'm a Leo. And I'm like, yes, I want to be this big, powerful lion. What little kid doesn't want to be the lion? But then the next year when I got my horoscope, I pulled it out, it said I was a Virgo, and I was a virgin woman. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So I wanted what I didn't have, and what I had I didn't want from a very young age. And little did I know after going through my inventory that I'd be a lion all the time to everybody around me. So I was a lion, I remember, noticing. I have a good noticer, like I said, what other people have, what I don't have, what my neighbors have, what you have, what how many cars their mom and dads are together, all that stuff. And I always felt different on the outside. The first time my uncle gave me a sip of beer that I can remember, he goes, here, want to try some beer? And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, ew, that's gross. I don't like beer. And he starts laughing. He's like, ha, ha, ha. You wait till you see. You're going to love beer. And I'm like, oh, I don't think so. I like milk, you know. See, I didn't have the effect that alcohol produced. I didn't drink for the taste. I drank for the effect. Because the effect that alcohol produced was just amazing, you know. It gave me that ease and comfort. And so released me from everything, you know, made me feel equal to the world. And so one of my best friends moved away, and I was alone, and my neighbors were partying in the woods. And like I always wanted to fit in. I would see the older kids, they had the cool like 70 cars, and they had Led Zeppelin playing, and you know, Deep Purple and all that stuff, and Skynyrd, and you know, they had long hair and smoking and drinking. They were drinking like Lowenbrows and Molsons. I'm from New Jersey, you know. We only had Budweiser back then. That's all we had. And so I went over to the woods after my friend left, and immediately they're like, who's this? And like my neighbor goes, hey, he's cool. And right away, I was already accepted. And all I had to do was drink and maybe take a little puff of this stuff they were passing around, you know? And I was 13 years old at the time. I had I like the way our book talks about it, a drinking career, you know? I had a career. I retired. I've been retired from my drinking career for 15 years now, you know? But I had a 33-year career from 13 to 46. And, you know, I love that alcohol, the effect that it produced, because you know why? I don't like the effect of sobriety. That's why I drank, because what sobriety produces, I did not want. And alcohol gave me that quick ease and comfort, made me equal to the world, made me see you. I felt like I didn't know you. I had a couple of beers. Next thing you know, we're best friends. I'm funny. I'm dancing. I'm telling jokes. I'm good looking. I'm everything I wanted to be, you know, but I'm really just a frightened little kid in the beginning. I'm scared, but I can't show you that. You know, I'm wearing a mask, and that kind of lifestyle, I started to idolize like Jim Morrison. I love the Doors, right? I love the Who, and I love Jimi Hendrix. I love the Stones. And the band, and so I became like, I used to play sports, and then all of a sudden I started drinking and doing other stuff, and the coach was like, oh, what a waste. It had so much potential. But I found rock and roll, and I got into a band. Now I got the stage. I'm on stage, and I love this stage. The curtains are like, and I'm like, whoa, and I'm playing guitar, and I'm jumping around. We're playing like Break On Through the Other Side. We're playing like Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze. We're playing all this stuff. And all these idols that I have, I look back on it today, are all dead from alcoholism. But that's who I wanted to be, and man, I was on the right track for that. I was doing that. I was right with them, because that's, you know, I wanted to break on through to the other side. Who wants to be on this side, you know? You break. So, growing up in New Jersey, New York City was right on the corner. It's just like Vegas where I live. You know, it doesn't stop. No such thing as no. We could take the train there. We'd cut school. We'd bring our own beers in because it was more expensive there. And people like, give me your beer. You'd be like, no. And, you know, you had fighting for it. And, you know, I had a bar tab at like 16, because drinking age was 18 at the time. And I used to drive across the New York State line, and it was open to 4 a.m., but you could not serve you at 4 a.m. You could buy beers up until 4. They couldn't sell anymore after 4, and they would open at 6, but you could sit there and drink all the beers that you bought. And here I am at like 16, 17 years old, drinking like this. And then by high school, by senior year, I'm an everyday drinker, because that's the way I lived. It was always about drinking. Drinking was always number one. So when I moved to California in 1982, I'm dating myself if anyone wants to do the math here, okay? I don't go, oh my God, so long ago. I moved there, and the drinking age was 21. And I was like, what? And I was like, what am I going to do? And so the first thing I did is I got a keg, and I took the place that I was renting, and I put a hole in my refrigerator and just dropped a keg in there. That's how much I went from, ew, I don't like beer, to now I got a keg of beer in my refrigerator. Who cares about food? I need to get my medicine, right? So I got my medicine in there, and I go to the bars, and they're like, hey, Tom, you know, like, I'm ready to party. It's like 1:15. Like, last call. I'm like, last call? What the hell? You know, this is when I start getting going, right? See, alcohol gave me energy. I have a different reaction than most people. When I go out, I have a couple of drinks, and what happens when I take that drink, I want more. So my favorite drink is more, like one more. Not, oh, you know what? Would you like another one? You know, I'm good. I feel good. No, I want more. And I drink until the cows come home and go back out and then come back home again. And then maybe go back out and then come back home. It just depends on if I found something else. And see what happened that it's like I was drinking. So my first 33 years, if I look at my first 11 years, there wasn't many consequences. So I didn't set my timer. I'm so sorry. That's going to be fun. I know, but I like to, don't want to talk about a huge drunk-a-log or too much sobriety. You guys might get bored. So, judge me. Let's judge the speaker. I know. I'm going to hear it. So anyway, I moved to California, and this is back in the 80s, and I find this other stuff. It's like peanut butter and chocolate, Makes me drink more, makes me stay up late, and I fall in love with it, right? See, I didn't like just, the other stuff was peanut butter. I didn't like peanut butter by itself. It's like, it's too sticky. I need something to drink, right? And that's what the chocolate was like. The alcohol was the chocolate for me. Those two combined was heaven. And fast forward in 3 years, I go to detox rehab because of it. So it fast forward me into like a surrender. And see, this is when the consequences really started to happen. It's like, I told you, growing up as a kid, asking for help was a sign of weakness. I did it my way. And all of a sudden, I'm at this point where I'm going to lose this great job. I have a company car, and this is 1988, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm kind of out of options, and I'm scared. And I finally, I didn't want to let them know because, see, back then, going to detox or rehab was like, he's in rehab. Oh, don't. He's like a leper. Today, I do detoxes. Like, how many people have been here more than 5 times? Everyone's like, me. More than 10 times, me, right? It's different. It was different back there. You couldn't talk about it and all this other stuff. So I was at a point where I really, really was out of options, and I had to ask for help. And I went to this 30-day inpatient detox in Whittier, and they gave me a big book. So I had an original 3rd edition big book that everybody put their names in back then. And I went to the meetings, and that I had to go to. I was kind of sentenced to AA. Anybody here anybody sentenced here? Come on, welcome. If you have a nudge from the judge, we call that a scholarship. Welcome here too. If you're here and you're lying about your sobriety, welcome, because we know there's some of you in here doing that. If you're drunk in here, welcome. AA was the only place that welcomed me. They didn't say get out. Nobody ever said get out. You liar, you cheat, you're thief, which I am, and they welcomed me. So I was welcomed into AA at an early, I was young. I was like 23 years old back then, right? Somewhere around there. And I got introduced, 25, okay? No, 24, whatever. Who cares about the math? Anyway, it was a long time ago. So I'm going there. I'm going to AA. There's a big difference. I'm going to AA. I get introduced to it. I never read the big book. I never got a sponsor. I never got commitments. I would go to a couple speaker meetings. I'm like, yeah, AA's good. I'm doing good. And see, what happened is the consequences stopped happening. That was why it felt good. But really, everything that I had inside of me was still there. All the lying, the cheating, the deceit, the old ideas I had about how people treated me, how I was done wrong, all these things are still there. None of the work was done. And within, this is the time I think I got about 6 months, because now it's May, it's my friend's wedding. They have a keg of beer there, and I'm disconnected from AA. I have no sponsorship. I'm not connected to you guys. I just went to get the heat off because of work. And so I go there, and my friend has got the keg. I'm like, it's been 6 months. It can't be that bad. I must not be an alcoholic. I got 6 months. And I take that drink, and I'm like, oh, my shoulders drop again. I'm like, oh, my God, I feel this warmth coming over me. And I'm like, oh, I feel it's like the Wizard of Oz. The colors come back. From Dorothy's hellish nightmare. She's in this freaking place where little midgets are jumping around on mushrooms and shit. And it's like, wow, this is what alcohol does. It gives me that ease and comfort. And of course, what I do is now I'm on probation at work. I have to take drug tests for a year. And see, consequences don't matter to an alcoholic. Not at all. I have to drive around with fake urine in my car. Now, nowadays they test it with everything. They test temperatures, they test this, they test the pH. I mean, good luck getting away on a drug test. I'm standing there with a little shampoo bottle. They're watching me, And that's the length that I will go to get loaded. So if you're new in here and we say, we want you to go to any length, think about what it took, what you did to get loaded. I'm on probation from work. I went in there because I really wanted help. And next thing you know, I'm back at it again. And I cannot put into my consciousness with sufficient force a week or a month ago, the pain, suffering, and humiliation of a week or a month ago. I'm without defense against my first drink. And that was my first time I really experienced that. So I meet a friend, I'm drinking again, and this is where it gets good, okay? I meet a friend, he lives in Manhattan Beach. We start coming down here, we go to Hennessy's Manhattan, right? He takes me to the hometown fair in October, and I find my tribe. I'm like, this place is great, I'm moving here. He's like, everybody says that. I moved here January 1 in 1889. And I'll never forget, I lived in Manhattan Beach. We were going to Hennessy's, we were going to La Paz, we were going to Shellbacks, we were going to Pier 52. We would then go to the Mexican place. Well, not Punch, the ones that was up by the mall. Tequila Willie's. Thank you. We got some people in this room that know what I'm talking about. You guys are the real alcoholics, yeah. See, this is before like cell phones and Instagram, and we had to go to places. And the most important thing for me to find was where the party was going to be and where the after-hour party was going to be, because I can't stop when I start. And so we'd go to Tequila Willie's, we'd get loaded up, we'd get tuned up, we'd find out where the parties are, and we'd go out. And then I'd find people whose houses that I could party at on the Strand, and it would be like all-nighters, and we were doing everything, and I found my tribe. And see, what was happening was that I would see the same people at 2 in the morning, then I'd see them at 10 over here, I'd see them then that night here, and I started to normalize my alcoholism. I started to think that this is normal, PJ Bretts for football, we do all these things, and I found all these people that were doing what I was doing, so I thought it was just normal. I was normalizing it. And so, after I stopped drinking for a little bit, my company gave me an award for top sales guy because I was doing well, Within 3 years, all of a sudden now, they fired me because I was too busy doing what I do. I went in there for help. I didn't get it. I got it for a little bit. I built it up once again, and as the book talks about, I tear it back down. I build it up, and I tear it back down, because I'm the real alcoholic, as it said on page 21, If you're the real alcoholic, welcome. There's no middle of the road of solution here, There's only spiritual help or go on to the bitter end, and, I didn't realize that at the time. And so, they fired me, but that didn't stop me because that was just bad, bad consequences, bad timing, whatever. I'll get another job. And so I continued to live out here, riding on the Strand, going to chillers on Sundays and doing all that stuff and, having a great time. And I was living in this fantasy world. See, the friends I was drinking with were drinking like me, but they started getting married and they started moving away. They weren't the real alcoholic. They were just heavy drinkers or maybe moderate drinkers. But if you hung out with me, you had to be the real alcoholic because I didn't hang out with teetotalers. And so what happens then is I meet this girl. She becomes my hostage. And the best part about that, tonight and I got and had sushi at the place. It was 12th Street in Manhattan Beach. I met her there. And I met her in the bar that we had dinner at tonight. And I'm like, wow, this is a trip. And I'm speaking at an AA meeting. Come on, this is not right. No, it's very right, let me tell you, because I'd be dead if it wasn't for this program. And that I'm grateful for. So I meet her, and we become, I get married. I'm getting married and getting engaged. And right before I get married, the work that I'm working for, they're done with me. I was working 2 days a week. I was making all this money. I was living on the Strand. We had a Strand house for 2 years out here. I mean, it was go time, man. I loved it. This is when it was working. And then all of a sudden, it starts getting a little darker. This great job that I had, we had a place in Mammoth, we had a place in the desert. I lived on the Strand out here, and they fired me. But see, I'm too chicken to tell my wife that I get fired. So now I'm pretending every day that I'm going to work. I'm getting married 6 weeks from now, and I'm like throwing laundry in the laundromat. How's your day, honey? Oh, great. Let's look at our wedding stuff. And I'm like, Yeah, everything's good. And this unease, this double life, this lie that I'm living is just eating me alive. And see, what happens with me is when I create problems from my drinking, and to solve that problem, I start drinking the problems away again. Has anybody done that? And what does that do? It creates more problems. It's a downward spiral. I got no way out. And so the week before my wedding, she finds out that I got fired, and I'm like, well, you knew what you're getting into, Not a good answer.
Your fault.
We get married, and I had to go to AA for another time. I went to AA because of the fact that I got caught with a substance just before my wife knew. And I got introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous again. I didn't do any of the work. And so then when I was with her, I was so proud living in Hermosa Beach at the time that I never got a DUI because I would take taxis at the time. My neighbor was a taxi cab driver. But then when I had to go visit my dad in New Jersey, I had to take the car out. And it was Thanksgiving weekend. And all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, I'm drinking on the plane. I get to my dad's house. And, once I start drinking, I have this thing they call in the big book a phenomenon of craving, which means I want more. And what happens is that I get to his house and I'm thirsty. I'm like, Dad, you got any beers? He's like, no, I don't have any beers. He's a non-drinker. He doesn't drink like me. He shouldn't have beers for his alcoholic son. And I'm like, oh, Dad, damn it. Wait a second. There's no pictures of me in this house. And I got this resentment. I'm pissed. And, do I have pictures of my stepmom in my house? No, I don't, but I don't care. So I go out and I go get gas. At the time, I get a pack of smokes. And I'm like, in New Jersey, they don't sell beer at grocery stores. You got to go to like a special store, and it was closed. I had to go to New York State, so I'm going to New York State. Within 5 minutes, I drive to a multi-task force DUI checkpoint. Yeah, hey, what are you doing here? I just got into town. Okay, you been drinking? I put Altoids in my mouth. I've been drinking on the plane. I've been drinking here. I'm like, I was going to drink until you pulled me over, And so he makes me do the little two-step dance, right? And I do it. They take me on the station. I blow a .10, right? Which was the legal limit at the time. I was watching it. It's like ding, 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 ding. I'm like, ah! What do I have to do? Hi, Dad. It's your son. First day of Thanksgiving week. I'm in jail. Come pick me up. The big book describes that as pitiful and comprehensible demoralization. Here's my son that is visiting me, first day home. He's calling me from jail again. Do you think I learned my lesson? No. 3 days later, I get the car back. I'm saying, you know what? My brother went through the checkpoint. He didn't tell me. Start blaming everybody. Oh, the car had a cracked windshield. That's why they did it. I only blew a .10. I didn't hurt anybody. Do I have to hurt somebody? I never said I shouldn't have been drinking, right? So this time I'm going to go get a hotel bar and get a room at the hotel where there's a bar because I'm an alcoholic, and that's what alcoholics do. We drink. So I go to the bar, hotel, and I start drinking. Now it's about 11 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, I should probably get a room. I go get a room. Like, I'm sorry, sir, we're sold out. I'm like, oh, man, how am I going to get the car home? Duh, I'm going to drive it. So I get in the car, I start driving home, and sure enough, the lights come on again, right behind me. They pulled the guy over in front of me. Oh, my. I wet myself, literally. I was like, here we go again. Your son's really a loser. But see, our big book talks about effective mental defenses. I have no effective mental... See, that was a mental defense. Like, I was going to try to defend my alcoholism by getting a hotel room, and then I could drink, but, it wasn't effective. It talks about it. It says, we must find a higher power. Our defense must come from a higher power. And so I'm getting all this knowledge about my drinking and my alcoholism. I just thought I was drinking. I didn't realize I had alcoholism. And, I get the DUI. They suspend my license in New Jersey, which I don't have. I thought I got away with it. And you don't get away with anything with the DMV, I'll tell you that right now. So this is a progressive illness if you haven't figured it out yet. Welcome to the new guys. You think you're having fun now? Keep on going out and coming back. You'll see how much fun you're going to have. You'll come in here and be like, oh, my God, I can't stop. And that's what happened to me. what happens is that the progressive illness starts taking me. The amounts that I'm drinking more and more and more. The problems that I'm creating all of a sudden start piling up. My wife, I buy a house in San Pedro. I move away from the beach. I'm down there. I'm starting to can't hold a job because of the progressiveness of my alcoholism. I'm doing other substances again, which I went to rehab for because I didn't learn. And it's on Father's Day, and it was 2008. Okay. Remember, I went into AA in 1988, so now it's 20 years later. I'm still trying this experimentation, but I didn't do any of the work here. And that's like going to a bar and sitting at the bar and watching people get drunk thinking you're going to get drunk, right? That don't work. Neither does sitting in an AA meeting thinking that you're going to get sober just by sitting here. And I did not know that. I was like, I'm going to AA. I'm in AA. No, I'm just going to AA. And so she's like, you need help. You need to go to this place. It has a great name. It's like an oasis. It's called Cabo de Sol. If anybody knows that place. It's a psych ward in Torrance, okay? That's what they call it. I'm going to Cabo de Sol. All right, I'll pack my bags for how many days? For 5 days, right? So I go there. I go there Sunday night. I got to tell them I'm killing myself, even though I'm not really, but I kind of am. I'm angry. Like that fun person living on the Strand, having the fun, riding the bikes, not a care in the world, going to chillers, doing this. Woo-hoo, yeah, funny. Now it's not so funny. The old pleasures were gone, as the big book talks about. I'm trying to recapture that, the ghosts of party past, trying to capture those moments. So I go into Cabo. I go to Cabo. I like the way it sounds anyway. And they're pulling people in that are trying to jump in front of buses and this and talk. They're hearing voices. And I just separate myself. See, the original ism I have is I separate myself from you and God. It's the original ism, right? Then the other ism I suffer from is that incredible short memory of the pain and suffering and the humiliation, right? I forget to remember about what happens to me when I drink. So I go into the place. They don't really do anything. And this is what they really did. They said, oh, okay, let's see. Oh, you must be bipolar. Here's some bipolar man. Oh, you got ADD. Here's this. Oh, you can't sleep. Here's some of this. Hey, you got this. Let's put you on this. And let's put you on this. I walked out of there with more drugs than a CVS drugstore. I swear to you not. And my whole entire life, see, this is my problem. I've been taking stuff on the outside to try to make my insides feel good. They never once mentioned to me, no psychologist that I got after that, psychologists, psychologists, whatever they are, the counselors. No one ever said to me, hey, Tom, you're suffering from a spiritual malady. Spiritual I, self, and me, Like I'm self-pitying, self-will run riot, Riot, think about a riot, an uncontrollable, back and forth. You can't stop it. That's my self-will, And nobody told me that because they can't make money on it. They just put me on drugs. So they put me on all these drugs, and my wife says, what did they tell you to do? I go, relapse is part of recovery. She said, it better not be. And I'm like, you know what, guys in here in this room, if you've heard that, it's not part of recovery. It's lack of recovery. There's no relapse in the book. It doesn't talk about when we relapse. No. It says, how many people have tried and come back, but if you do the work in the book, you can have permanent sobriety one day at a time. That's what I'm after, So this is when it really hits me. We go to PBC Beach Club on the Palos Verdes area. It's 2 weeks after I go to the detox. And there's a party going on, and somebody hands me a beer. And I take it. Here I am, I'm in the detox trying to get well because I have kids and a wife and all this stuff, and that thought doesn't hit my head, that ism I told you about. And so what happens is I take that beer, and I'm drinking it, and my wife looks at me, she's like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? And, I sat there, and I was like, for the first time in my whole life to her about where I was, what I was doing, all this stuff, I looked at her and I said, I don't know. And see, the deal was I really didn't know at the time, because if I knew, I would have done something about it, and I couldn't do something about it. And today I know I have a thing called alcoholism, right? When I put the drink down, that's when the alcoholism kicks in. Everyone was telling me I had a drinking problem, that my problem was I drink too much of this, you should lay this off, stop doing this. I stopped the other stuff, but I was still drinking because, see, the other stuff was the problem. I always came back to drinking, right? And so when I come back, when I put the drink down, all of a sudden, all that dis-ease and comfort and all that tightness, and you are a jerk, and that person's an ass. You're driving on the freeway. That person's an idiot. That person's a maniac. I'm the only guy that knows how to drive the right speed, because that's my thinking. My head up here is just crazy. And I need that ease and comfort. And why do you think when you go to the liquor store and you get that clear liquid, it's called spirits? And it's treating my spiritual malady. I put the Spirit in me. Alcoholics Anonymous is another spirit that we have here. We put a different spirit in us. It's slow sobriety, It takes a little bit longer. It's not that instant shot or that instant boost. It takes a little bit longer, but it lasts if you do it. The Spirit of the universe restores us. The other stuff I was doing destroys us. Destroyed my relationship, destroyed my bank account, my morals. I became an animal, couldn't hold a job. She kicked me out as I was traveling to my friend's house, and I went to my dad's house in Florida. I'm going to polo matches. I go to Hawaii. I'm staying in Hawaii for 16 days. I go to New York State. I'm camping. I go to the San Gennaro Festival. If I was posting this stuff on Facebook, you'd be like, man, this guy's a player. Right? I get a sponsor, and he's like, Tom, when you were doing these things, where'd your mail go to? He's like, went to my ex-wife's house. He's like, well, do you live there? I'm like, no. And I'm like, well, what about when you went to your dad's house? What did you do? Do you live there? I go, he's my dad. I just stayed with them. What about your friend who were down on the beach? No. He goes, you know what that means? I go, no, I don't. He goes, that means you're homeless. And I was like, my alcoholism took me to homelessness. That's one of the things on the checklist. All those yets that didn't happen, like the DUIs, this yet. Oh, I haven't done that. The judgments that I had over you. Oh, I didn't live behind a dumpster. Oh, I'm listening to you guys when I go to A. I'm separating myself. I'm listening to your stories thinking that I'm not looking for the similarities at all. So if you're new here, please listen to the similarities. Did you feel this way? Have you done this? Do you want what I have? Do you want what I have today? And the answers were yes, yes, yes. So, now it gets even darker. And see, alcoholism is a disease of loneliness that we treat with isolation. At this time, my alcoholism is now full-blown alcoholism. The three segments, the first 11, the second 11, now I'm in my third trimester, okay? And it's freaking, I'm going to be reborn soon because it gets ugly. And I get kicked out of the house, I almost get shot at. All these things are happening. All these consequences that weren't happening before are now starting to happen. I went to this guy's house I was living at, and he pulled a gun on me. He called the cops on himself. He was growing weed. He took me to court, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff. I was driving my friend's car. The engine blows. It's like all the things. My standards of living my life was dropping quicker than I could lower my standards. Like things were just happening. It was unraveling so quickly, and it was almost laughable. And I'm like, oh my God, oh, this again. Oh, I have no money. Oh, I have no job. I have no car. Oh, I used to have a big house, a beautiful wife, 2 kids, and all this stuff. That's alcoholism 101. It just removes everything. I didn't give anything away. My ex-wife still lives in my house in San Pedro. My kids still live there. Someone's driving my old car. Someone has my old job. I didn't give it away. Lose it. I gave it away. I gave it away for King Alcohol because he was my master. He's like a jealous pimp. Takes me out when I don't want to go out. I don't want to go out. Get out there. I don't want to. Get out there. But I love you. Come back to me. Okay. And he takes all my money. He takes everything I have. And I start working. So before, when alcohol was working for me, now I'm working for him. I'm working for him big time. And so I'll finish up this whole thing here. What happens is at the last 3 months, it was so dark. I'm living above a bar in San Pedro that I can't get into. I'd hear the music, people are partying, I walk up to the bench, it's like, ah! God was doing for me what I can do for myself. He saved my life. The place was a low-bottom bar. There's a lot of bad people in there. Always fights and shit going on. And so I get beat up on Thanksgiving because that's the place you should be on Thanksgiving, in the hospital, right? Instead of with your family. That's where I go. 2 weeks later, my girlfriend is like, "You're crazy," breaks up with me. And what's going on here is God is saying, "Hey, Tom, are you done yet? Haven't you had enough?" Okay. "Haven't you had enough?" And I'm like, no. I got a resentment. And so I wanted to kick those guys' ass. I was going to pull a pile of truckload of manure at the bar's freaking patio just to show them, you know. They had nothing to do with my behavior, but that's the way I think because I'm sick. I'm an alcoholic. I just only think about me, not anybody else. That's that disease of self that we talk about. I, self, me, the ism. And so, you know, my soul yearns for the spirit, right? It's yearning for something, but my ego yearns for control, and I want to control everything. I want to control you and everything and them and this, and I'm out of my mind. She's leaving me. I don't realize my life's unmanageable, which means not to be managed by me. And so the last day of my drinking was December 22nd, and I go to this bar. It's the Elks Lodge in San Pedro. Anybody an Elks member here? Yeah, me too. Still am. Sober Elks member, right? And I go up there and I have a couple drinks. And you know, this is the decision I have to make. Do I go home or do I go out? What does an alcoholic normally do? He goes out. So what do? I'm really at a dark spot. I just go through these stop signs and I'm blowing through stop signs because I'm really wishing for the end. You know, I got nothing left in my life. The wife's gone, the kids are gone. I'm basically hopeless. And a car T-bones me, and he parks against me. I give him my information. I take off. I go back to the bar. The bartender looks at me. I confront the people there. He's like, "One drink." I go to this other bar. They're like, "You can't come in." I sneak in the back. I'm dancing because, you know, after you get into a car crash and your life's falling apart, you should go dancing. That's what I think you should do. That's what I want to tell you. So that's my idea. See, that's living to be convinced that any life when run on self-will could hardly be a success. It's right there. It's not successful at all. So I was convinced at that time. And so I go into the place, the bouncer sees me, he's going to pummel me again, and he lets me go. I come to in that hotel, and at this point, if you're new here, I hope you're out of options, because it took all this. You don't have to do this. Like Scott, he didn't go all the way down, but he's here. The elevator went off on like the 5th floor. I went down to like the minus 15th floor. You know, way below the garage, Steve, okay? And I asked what I hear all the time. I said, God, from the bottom of my heart, like, God, like I woke up and like, God, please help me. Like, help me. Like, and for some reason, as I told you before, I used to drink away my problems. That morning when I got up and came to and I had to clean up that mess, I didn't drink. God removed that obsession. And I had a detox for 5 days over Christmas, and it was painful. You know, it's Christmas, I'm just shaking, I'm sweating, and it was horrible. But I was on my way. I had separation from alcohol because I couldn't get a sober breath. See, that was the deal. Before I could get 6 months, then it was 3 months, then it was 2 months, then it was maybe 3 days, then it was no days. And I would say I'd stop when it gets bad enough, but it's already too bad enough because I can't see the true from the false. I have a reality recognition disorder. You know, I can't see the truth. And so I start, you know, I'm going to do yoga and exercise and read spiritual books. And I'm reading this book, and this book's like, you know, they start talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm like, Alcoholics Anonymous? I never really did that. I said, Tom, you only made it so far in AA, on your own. Why don't you give AA a try? And all the times I went to AA, there were like seeds were planted. And it took enough pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization, which was the fertilizer that fertilized that seed. And I came to believe, right? I came to believe because, see, alcohol and drugs was a power greater than myself. I had the knowledge. My problem wasn't knowledge. My problem was power, you know? Lack of power, not lack of knowledge. And so where am I going to find this power? And that's what this book's about. It talks about we'll find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. It doesn't say your drinking problem, because I don't know what my problem is, because I thought it was my drinking problem. It's a design for living for me. So I got to get rid of my old ideas, you know. We admitted, right? I admitted before that I was an alcoholic, but see, this time the book talks about I fully conceded to my innermost self. See, because in my head I could say, I'm an alcoholic, yeah, I can wave my hand, but I don't believe it in my heart. It's like we talk about abandon, right? I threw my cards out of the game. I'm like, I'm done. I fully conceded. You got me. I can't go on like this anymore. I can't do it. We came to believe, right? Came to believe is past tense. I didn't believe before. I believed in the hopelessness and futility of the life that I was living. I came to believe. I heard you guys speak, and I heard a guy that's been living behind a dumpster, and he's up there talking from the podium now. And I see people that are happy and laughing and having this life, and I'm like, wow, what are they doing? They say, Tom, come with us. Let me show you what we do. They don't tell me what to do. They say, get in that greeting line. Get in that line and greet people. Get a commitment, because this is a spiritual program of action, not thinking. See, I used to think my way into better living, and it doesn't work that way. It never did. I got to live my way into better thinking. It's about action. I got to take the action first. I got to act better than I feel is what you guys tell me. Get there. You were ever too tired to drink, were you? I can't make it to the meeting. I'm too tired. Oh, the meeting's too far away. I would drive to Las Vegas to get loaded. Give me a break. Oh, it's so too late. Oh, my God. My nickname in the South Bay was 2-Day Tommy, right? I'd go out on Friday, and I'd come home Sunday maybe. And it could be a little bit more, but that was my nickname. And they would sing songs like, TDT to AC/DC, TDT, he's dynamite, TDD, he plays power low, TDT, watch him explode, you know. And I was like, yeah, I'm 2-Day Tommy. Yeah, I'm 2-Day Tommy, you know. I was proud of being that guy. I was just an alcoholic drunk, and all these guys that I thought were my friends, where are they today when I'm down and out? They're not calling anymore. These bar friends, and I think, oh, they're my great friends. Yeah, when you're drinking, we're going to do all these things together. You make all these plans. You wake up the next morning, you haven't done anything. You're like, what did we say? What did I do? So Alcoholics Anonymous, all of a sudden, I get involved with the fellowship. And the fellowship is a power that's greater than ourselves. It's a group of drunks. But it's not going to get you through what we need to get through. It's going to help support us when you're going through your tough times, we have people here that we can reach out to that understand. And these guys are like, man, I understand what you're going through. So all that crap that I did to my life, all of a sudden I get to transmute it into gold and a diamond for somebody else that's suffering. I take my pain and suffering that I suffered with, and instead of morbidly reflecting with it, I turn it around and I tell somebody, me too. And they're like, what? Because when we get here, we're just completely in our head. We just think we're the only ones that have done it. I guarantee you, in this room, there are people who have thought that, and right now, there's somebody that's done exactly what you did, and you thought it was so shameful and hurtful. I've done it. And so I get, this is what I love about what God's doing for me, what I can do for myself. So everyone's like, hey, Tom, you should get this sponsor. And I'm like, because they asked me first, and I lied to them, because I'm a liar. I'm like, when I'm new, I'm not honest. I'll tell you that right now. And so you should get this sponsor. And I go, Pat? Yeah, he's hard, though. I'm like, I don't want that. I want the softer, easier way, you know? So I go to this meeting. I was going to Hope on the Hill up the road here. And he comes up to me one day, and he thinks I'm this guy. He's giving me an assignment. He goes, hey, come here. And I'm going up there because it's Saturday night. I got nothing in my life. There's girls there. Wrong reason to go to A, but hey, it was an attraction, right? Not promotion. I was going to the meeting, and he goes, come here. And he goes, here, put your name. I want you to get, he hands me this inventory. And he goes, I want you to put your name down, what happened, what you did, how you, jealousy, did you cause this, what you should have done different. Do about 7 of them give me a call. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is what God was doing. I said, okay. I tell my friend, I go, man, I just got this assignment from Pat. They're like, it's a 4-step assignment. Like, maybe he thinks I'm on a 4-step. He's like, no way, man. Pat's by the book. He does it, by the book. He doesn't think that. Then I'm thinking, wow, maybe this program's about he wants to find out what my freak is, and he's going to hook me up with girls in this meeting. That's my character defect. God uses my character defects. He doesn't remove them all, right? He uses them to help him and my fellows with it. And so that wasn't the case. Just to let you know, if you think that's the case, that's not what we do here. And so I want to tell you a little bit what like A is like today, you know. I get a sponsor. I get commitments. I start taking positions. I become an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous instead of just a going member. Because you can have a desire to stop drinking, you're a member, but are you an active member? What are you doing? How much time did you put into your drinking and using? How much time are you putting into A? You're going to get what you put in. You put 10% in, you're going to get more than that here. Next thing you know, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, this opportunity comes for me to move to Las Vegas. I'm like, wow. And now, I was homeless in 2000. 2007, I'm buying a house on my own. How is that possible? God and Alcoholics Anonymous. I buy a house on a golf course in a gated community. What? God placed me out there to get active in Alcoholics Anonymous out there, and then COVID hit, which was a good thing because I got to hear a lot of great speakers and meet people from around this country. Alcoholics Anonymous is way bigger than this room, but it's big. It's really, really big. It's a worldwide. And so then I get connected with Connect the Dots, and I have all these service commitments. So if you don't have a service commitment, I highly suggest you want to really stay sober. Working with alcoholics and other alcoholics is the way to go, and being in service is what we do around here. And I get all these commitments. I do a jail commitment on a Friday night. I do a women's jail on a Saturday night. And I do a halfway house on a Thursday, once a month. And who knew at my life today that I'd be excited to go to jail all weekend? But Alcoholics Anonymous has given me a life that I didn't think I deserved. So if you don't think you deserve it, you're wrong. God's got plans for you. And I thank you all today for having you experience my experience, strength, and hope. Thank you for letting me share. Thank you for the towel. Thank you.